Hi guys, the breakdown. We are back today with our World Cup series. Today we're going to be looking at France and we're going to be asking ourselves their realistic expectations for this World Cup. I've obviously got my own opinion about them, but guys, first thing first, what do we think about France?
For me, France are the winners of the 2023 World Cup. I'm just going to come out and say it. I think home World Cup, that's a huge factor, but also just how they've been building over the last 4 years and the fact they've got Antoine Dupont as well.
I think their route is the biggest issue they have. You know, they're going to play a New Zealand team and how competitive they are. They make it through that. They play in Ireland or South Africa, two teams that could go on and win the World Cup. So I think their route is heavily against them. And I think for me, they're going to get quarterfinal because I think they won't be able to deal with the pressure.
I completely agree. I think looking at France, they haven't had a result all year. And like we talk about important results, especially for a team like France, teams like South Africa, teams like New Zealand, they don't need results. They have the World Cup mentality. But France is the team with a small World Cup mentality, which is bottled. I think four World Cup final losses, and I haven't been sold on the French in terms of a force that can come up, and I don't even see them beating New Zealand on the opening day. I don't see that happening. So I think
Neither, neither
France,
do I.
France, France make it to the quarters. They will make it to the quarters, and I think they'll crash out there.
This moves on to like the standouts of the team. We all know who the biggest asset is. The player that everyone is going to be targeting on that France team is Antoine Dupont. If Antoine Dupont is firing on all cylinders come this World Cup, France have a greater chance by a huge amount. So who is the guy to win a close game, and why do we think what do other teams attack France to win?
I mean, well, for me, I'd say obviously we mentioned Dupont. I'm going to say it's a trio of Dupont, Ramos, and Entomac. I think all in the form of their career. Obviously, Entomac, maybe an injury, you might miss a few games, which could be quite costly. But the way that those three link up in backfield and open play, sort of when they're improvising, works a great deal. But on
I would,
on it's sort of like
I
what
Here as well, we're really undervaluing key players in the forwards. I'm looking at the duo of Flamont and Wembley. I'm looking at people like Olivier, and I'm looking at people like Aldri, and I'm saying those are people for me that make a difference and are the large reason. Rohan, you've talked about France as a team that can play on both, do both styles, attacking and then playing forwards. So like we can't underestimate the value of the forwards. And then you look at someone like Fakou as well. I can't pin it down to one player. I just can't. I can't.
What you've got to understand though, when you talk about France play loads of different styles, it all comes from Dupont when they're playing through their forwards. The way Dupont attracts attention around the fringes, that gives the forwards the extra space to be able to carry forward.
Facts. I think Dupont being around that fringes opens the likes of players to burst through weak shoulders coming off Dupont, and you never know where the ball's going with Dupont. He's one of those players that he can pull off a trick shot right in front of you, you wouldn't even notice hit you. So I think the way other teams attack France is through pressure. I think they can attack France by not letting them into the game early because I think that's where France get momentum. And I think they take away France's kicking game. I think they put Ramos under stupid high balls. I don't think they let France keep the ball in play. And I think they try and target Dupont and slow every single one of his ball down.
Kieran, and this is my issue with France. I think France are the sort of when you have an attacking team like we saw in the Scotland game, France I think really struggle to deal with that. France also struggle to deal with when they get boxed and you don't allow them to run. It's almost like I'm gonna use the 2015 All Blacks as an example. Everybody used to say the way you beat those All Blacks is you just don't let them run. Obviously, it was much more easier said than done. But when you box them up and you don't give them the space to run and you nullify their key players like Dupont, right, it makes a massive difference. We saw that in the fixture against the Springboks last year. We saw that in the fixture in the Aviva this year. So I think France do have some glaring weaknesses for me, which
No.
I think are they haven't got enough time to fix before World Cup.
This is where I'm going to disagree with you because you talk about, oh, you just take away their attack, blah, blah, blah. But realistically, France in the Six Nations have the lowest possession. They can win games without the ball. They're very happy.
What happened? What happened against Ireland? What happened against Ireland when that happened?
Against Ireland, I think they held on to the ball for too long. And now we've seen this team that can kick the ball away, not have the ball, happily defend. And then as soon as they get a sniff, they'll attack and they'll score. We saw it against Scotland. We've seen it throughout the last 4 years.
Statistically in the Scotland game just gone, as they're trying to build their game plan, you saw how France actually had less of the ball but maintain the scoreboard because they were putting Scotland under pressure.
Sure.
France are so comfortable. No. France are so comfortable not having the ball, and then they're so comfortable having the ball. They can play both sides of the ball,
No.
and that's what makes France dangerous.
And that's your question. If you play New Zealand, right, and you're happy, and you don't have the ball, right, and you're happy to be giving New Zealand the ball, what's going to happen to you? On
Well,
But that's why I said New Zealand win.
and
New
that's
Zealand
why I
beat
say
France.
Ireland win, and that's why I say South Africa win in the quarters. Because the way
But this
South
is where,
Africa now.
this is where I will disagree with both of you, because I know we're talking about New Zealand's attack functioning so well. This New Zealand attack hasn't come up against a defense like France. Every single one of that starting 15, I promise you, look through those 15s and tell me I'm wrong. The starting 15, every single one of them defending is one of their strong suits. There's not a single weak defender in that whole team.
Rohan, the Springboks, right? You have the best defender, 13 defender. I know obviously Ringrose the best 13 in the world now. You have the best defensive 13 in Lukhanyo Am, right? You got, I think, the most physical pack. New Zealand tore through the Springboks. I don't think New Zealand are going to struggle against France. I think on form, New Zealand's got a better pack than France on form. I think their front row could actually, dominate at scrum time. That's Kieran. That's stupid for me to say.
That's not stupid to say. I back a New Zealand front row over the France front row. I would say that their second row is probably arguably better, and I'd say their back row is more competitive. So I think as a whole pack, I'd take the New Zealand pack to dominate.
And I'm not disagreeing with any of you, but the way Tally's been talking recently, it's almost as if having the better pack makes you the better team.
What happened against Ireland?
Listen, let me finish. We're forgetting that this New Zealand pack, as good as they are, every kick that DuPont makes, they're going to be 10 meters back further than they would against the Springboks. Every kick Entermac makes, they're going to be pinned in the corners. They're going to be put in situations, this pack, that they're just not used to. They wouldn't have been put in these situations against Springboks. Springboks were very good, very, very poor in terms of playing a territorial game, especially early on. And I think France are going to do that a lot better against New Zealand.
This leads on to our starting team for the France. I think it's very, very competitive across the whole park. I think the front row is set in stone. I think you go Cyril Bay at 1. Are we agreed?
Yeah, Marshall.
I think with Machon at 2, and I think 3 is quite open. What do you think of 3?
Uini Antonio.
Antonio, yeah.
Putting Antonio at 4, I think is Flamand 100%.
Easily, no debate.
You've got the options. You could go with like a Paul Valemza, someone who's a lot bigger. You can go with an athlete like Woki, who I personally think is a 6, but overall I'd probably go with Valemza.
I'm down for that as well. 6, we're going with
I think
Jelonge.
Is Jelonge injured?
I'm not sure, but we're going with Anthony Jelonge. 7.
Olivon.
Audrey, easily.
Solid pack. Going at 9, not even going to ask.
Anton
Dupont, 10.
Entermac.
Entermac, yeah.
12 and 13, I think is solid. Wow, 12 is actually up for debate, I think.
No, Kieran, it's Dante. Dante's made his stamp in that. I know Brian doesn't like Dante.
I never said I don't like him. I think he's a very good player. I just don't think he's a top centre.
And also, I think on the number 10 point that we just mentioned before, interesting. Apparently, Intermac's knee injury could be bad. I'm not sure if he's going to play in any more of the warm-ups.
Jalibert.
You might be thinking Jalibert straight into that team. I mean, a young 12, 10 starting is dangerous. It's dangerous.
I got a question. Do you go with someone? I think if you're looking for someone to emulate the Entermac sort of rugby playing style, the closest thing you have is a Hastoy. Obviously, Jalibert's a better player.
Yeah.
I see Jalibert as someone that can come off the bench for 20 minutes and make an impact late in the game.
Yeah, and open it up. He's very elusive, isn't he? But yeah, I think France have got so much depth in that position. It's not even a worry. Like Hastoy, Jalibert, even with saying the other day, Dupont is still, for me, if he played 10, could be a top 10 in the world. On honestly, that's not.
That's stupid. It's all hypotheticals. They're not having a hypothetical conversation.
He's not played for He's played for
Yeah, and he looks crap.
No. We're not just talking about against Leinster. He's played in the top 14 for Toulouse, and he's not looked out of place at all.
Okay, but for Ty to start saying he could be a top 5, 10, all this.
That's a top 10. That's a top 10. He could be. Kieran, realistically, he's better 10 than Marcus Smith when he's at 10. He is.
It's not stupid.
Moving on to the back line, what do you think?
I think you go obviously Ramos starting. You put Pinot. Pinot for me, someone that's struggling to form. I'll put a Will Jordan at the moment is probably ahead of a Pinot for me.
I
And
know struggling for form. Are you all right, mate?
he didn't look like himself yesterday. I don't know whether it was just me. I don't think he looked like himself
He
yesterday.
scored, and he still got a try.
Yeah, but like like I don't know. I'm saying right now, I think a James Lowe, a Kurt Lorenzo, Will Jordan.
This is the problem, Taddy. After one game, you're already ready to just completely count him out. Penaud is probably the best winger in the world.
Who would you put on the other wing, Ryan?
Villiers.
Villiers, yeah, he's got a bump on him as well. He's good.
Anyway, so realistic expectation to finish off this video. I think France will get knocked out in the quarters.
Quarters or semis. For me, they don't beat. They won't beat. Okay. Well, obviously, we need to talk about Kieran. Are you saying quarters if they play who? If they play France and Ireland, South Africa and Ireland will knock them out. Is that what you're saying?
I think, I think either France or I think either Ireland or South Africa beat them in the quarters, 100%. No questions asked.
They're out in the quarters. If I'm going to be real with you, Ireland's pack goes all the way through France. I think it's just Ireland's structure. Looking at the form they've got going into this World Cup, the issue is with both teams is just a mentality issue. Who's going to have it? I think for Ireland, the pressure is going to be, are they going to be able to make that first World Cup semi-final, make history? But then with France, on the other hand, you're saying they're the home nation. Are they going to have the bottle to carry on that consistency? But going off form, Ireland's winning, then South Africa smoke France. So France out in the quarters.
I think France are going to win the whole thing. I think Dupont will get player of the tournament. Yeah, that's just the way I see things going. A home tournament, I said it. I think that's the most likely outcome from this World Cup.
Even after struggling against Italy in the first game, you're really like that confident to say, they can go and win the World Cup?
Listen, I've said this from the minute we started this podcast, and I'm not going to change now for it. France will win this World Cup.
Guys, from us to you, this has been our France World Cup predictions. Let us know in the comments or on our Q&A now that we started on our podcast on Spotify. Who do you think is going to win the World Cup? Do you think France are the World Cup favourites? From Taddy, Kieran and Rohan from The Breakdown, it's been us and we're going to see you guys soon. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.